Yes.
Okay, so I will be talking about Dr. Josu already covered the United States, and I would say North America in general. So, but I will touch on it, but because he has already done justice to that, I would not spend much time with that. So we will, uh, our journey together would involve, would include introduction, why you should listen to me, global scholarship opportunities, preparing your applications, navigating language barriers, and I'll share some resources that I think might be helpful to you. So, in terms of my background, so I obtained a BSc in Botany and Palynology from the University of Lagos. And after that, I obtained my MPhil in Botany still in the same program. Then afterwards, I obtained my PhD in environmental geoscience from Aix-Marseille University in France. And at the moment, I am in progress. It's in progress, but I will soon become an RNCP certified data and AI developer. And at the moment, I am your scholarship companion, thanks to LCA. So why should you listen to me? So I have about 7 years, more than 7 years actually, experience in academia and research. And beyond that, I was a former lecturer in the University of Lagos. So that adds to my experience within the context of what we are talking about. And I've also been in your shoes before in terms of the number of applications and inquiries I've made. So I've done over 300. So you will know that I have quite some experience. And after 300 applications, I should be able to share one or two things that someone might find useful. Then also I've been able to win over more than 60,000 euros in scholarship and grants. So I got funded by the Australian National University and by the president of the Aix-Marseille University. So I got the scholarships in the same week, not the same week, but the same week I got to France was the same week I got the Australian National University scholarship, plus other grants that I wrote during my PhD and I also
I
won.
don't hear you, sir.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Is that?
me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes,
you.
sir. We can hear you.
Technically,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Somebody was saying that he can't hear me. Okay,
Yeah.
so aside that, I've also supported more than 30 people that have won scholarships through some personal interventions. And I have more than 1,000 community members on based on, I do some scholarship opportunities sharing and some information sharing in my community of over 1,000 members. And these are in Nigeria, you say, no talk too much, show working, show doings, right? So here is a testimonial from Onye. In fact, she was the admin of my community at the time, and she made it to Emmy's list. This was an Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Then here's Joanne. She was a former student in the University of Lagos, and she also got a PhD actually. Then this is Barak from Iran, and he got a PhD in Poland. And this is Akoswa from Ghana. She got a funding for a PhD at Brock University. This is Gift from Nigeria, got his graduate assistantship at the New Mexico State University. And this is Najib from India, who also got a master's. She contacted me via Twitter, and then we started exchanging emails. Then via different supports that I offered, she got it. So that's that. So how I want to talk about how you should think about scholarship opportunities in 2025. So Dr. Eric Moore has already talked about this specifically. Does it resonate with you? Does the program resonate with you? And by that, just extending what he already mentioned or what he already said, you need to decide what program you want to apply for. And I love the example of the person that studied archaeology that he used because I have some experience in archaeology also, and I work with archaeologists sometimes. Not at the PhD level. That was my At the bachelor's master's level, when I was doing botany, palynology, we had archaeologists on our team too. So it's good to see someone with that passion, and that passion drove him to pursuing his interest. So you need to determine your interest. When you see an offer, sometimes it might not resonate with you, and it's okay. If it doesn't resonate with you, you don't need to forcefully apply. In other words, if you do that, just like Dr. Rickmore has said, it means you will not stand out because it's not coming from a place of interest. It's coming from a place of hustle. And I have been there. I would say that almost everything I will tell you in terms of behavioral and conditioning psychologically, I have been there. So, and I'll give examples as I go on. Also, when you see certain scholarship opportunities, you need to think, is it linked to your course? And by that, I mean, sometimes some scholarships are not specifically spelled out the way you expect them. For instance, I recall a time I was specifically looking for opportunities in botany and palynology. But based on my specialty, my specialty um, was in paleoecology at the time, and I also had interest in biostratigraphy. Based on that interest, the courses or the specialties that I was interested in at the time were in Department of Geography, Department of Environmental Sciences in other universities abroad, and not necessarily the Faculty of Science or so. So you need to be able to connect the dots and find your specialty in the right directory of the university website you are looking at, so that you will not say, oh, I didn't find my course, whereas it's there, but it's just in another faculty. Then you need to also look at it enough to this particularly, to be fair, there's more funding in STEM than non-STEM fields. But for you, your interest, the reason why I put the first 2 points, why I put those points there is because sometimes you might be interested in, let me say, accounting, direct accounting. But the opportunity you are finding, it's not necessarily pure accounting, probably accounting that, a course or a program that combines accounting with data analytics, for example. Even though you did accounting, you majored in accounting during your undergraduate degrees, it doesn't stop you from applying to opportunities that include some other fields that you don't have experience in. There is always room to accommodate students, even though, some people will specialize in data and then not have the accounting part, and they will still submit the application. And others will have the accounting part and not have the data part, and they will still submit the application. What's important is it funded? If it is funded, is it linked to your course? Yes, I did this part, but not this part. But it's still linked to your course. Yes. Does it resonate with you? Yes. Then, as far as that process of evaluating an opportunity is concerned, if you check those boxes, I would say that you are good to go. But always also remember that if there is no work, there is no gain. And that's supported by the fact that, like I told you, I submitted a lot of applications and I wrote a lot of emails to supervisors, and it got to a point that it was really very mental for me. Like I was I was not depressed, but I was really desperate. That's the word. And I was applying to anything. Just think of it. Just think of any course that comes to your mind, apart from maybe education courses and maybe specialized courses like engineering or something, but anything science. I was really, I got really frustrated and I was applying to everything, archaeology, zoology, botany. I was applying to some funny courses that should not even be mentioned because it had nothing to do with my profile. Of course, I did not get them because it was irrelevant to my profile, but you can get to that space. So I'm telling you this because I've been there, and you should guard against that. And one way to do that is to be laser focused on opportunities, programs that resonate with you, that are linked to your primary course, and you are sure that this course is funded or this program or opportunity is funded. Sometimes you might be interested in geography, but there's no much funding in geography. It's another course linked to geography. Go ahead and apply. Don't box yourself that, oh, I studied chemistry, I must only pursue chemistry opportunities. No. Dr. Eric Moore gave us that example. He went from chemistry and then he went to study material engineering at master's level and then he went to do his PhD in Canada. So you can adapt, don't box yourself. You can always study pretty much anything if you can defend why you should be the person selected. So, and then I want you to know that heartbreak is the currency in this game. In this game, you will be heartbroken. Of course, we have different destinies. Some people will need just two applications and it will work. Others will need 20. Others will need 300. Some will need 500. So don't compare yourself with others. Just focus on putting your best foot forward and leave the rest to God and chance, like I would say. Okay, so I'll talk about scholarship opportunities in North America. So Fulbright and Gates Millennium Scholarship, I mean, these are leadership-based opportunities, but I guess the one that really matters right now are the university-specific grants, which you can find on university portals, scholarship boards, and even government websites. But Dr. Dr. Eric Moore has covered pretty much the opportunities or how to access some of these opportunities in North America. But something I would like to add, because I have a lot of experience with North America, both as someone looking for opportunities in North America, because at the time, I know that while I was a lecturer in the University of Lagos, I actually got a master. I think while I was a graduate assistant, actually, I got an opportunity at the University of New Mexico, the same university as Gift and Ebo, and he's also in environmental science, by the way. So I got opportunity at MSc level, but for some reasons which I can't discuss, I did not go for it, even though I got the opportunity. But yeah, you can access funds from university-specific websites. But down here, I put X and cold emails as the go-to methodology for getting grants in North America. And Dr. Eric Moore already said that, of course, no one size fits all, and it depends. And that's the truth. It depends. From my personal perspective, I think these are the most effective channels to get in from 2024 to 2025, X and cold emails. By X, I mean Twitter, actually. Twitter and cold emails are very strong platforms for both getting informed about scholarships and also cold emails, just writing emails to supervisors to ask, express your interest, send your CV. The same way, even if you likely don't even know whether they have scholarships, but I saw one of the videos by LCA. I think when you go to LCA YouTube channel, because I went through it and I saw some videos where one of the speakers actually showed how to look for universities, researchers who have just won grants, and then you can cold email them. That's even pretty effective. It's going to be really pretty effective. But even without knowing whether there's grant available or not, at the time when I sent the cold emails that I did not know whether there was grant or not. All I knew was, okay, I was going to send emails and I was going to put my best foot forward. If you ignore me, it's fine. But what if you don't? What if I catch your attention and it gets to be something? And that happened because the opportunity, the Australian government, no, the Australian National University scholarship I won was with a researcher that I cold emailed. There's a story behind ANU, but maybe I'll share that at the end if I have time. But I'll just talk about the opportunity alone. But there's a story behind it that also adds a life lesson. If I have the time, I'll add it. But for now, so I was speaking with this professor in Australia, and our communication lasted 6 months before I even got to the level of applying. So cold email can work. And it can even help you establish relationship. It might not necessarily turn to like a scholarship I mean, as soon as you might want it, but if you're patient enough, it might turn into something. So we exchanged emails consistently for 7 months. And in the end, it materialized. I sent a contact email. He said he's impressed, sent me an idea. I talked about my own idea. And then we started going back and forth about it. And then, okay, go and write a proposal. Let's see what you have. I wrote the proposal. He said he was just excellent. And even because at ANU, before you submit, before they will say, go and apply for a PhD, there is a committee you will send your PhD proposal to that would even validate whether it's a PhD level application, I mean, PhD level research before you would even go to the portal to apply. So he sent the application, my proposal to the committee, and he said the committee were very impressed and they did not have anything to add. They did not have anything to add to it, and they just gave me the go ahead to apply. And then I moved to the application phase and we went through everything. And I applied like 2 minutes before the portal was closed was when I applied. But that was due to no fault of mine, it was because of some restrictions for Nigerians. As a Nigerian, you can apply directly to the school. You need to go through designated agencies for you to submit your application. So that was why that happened, and we ended up submitting it like 2 or 5 minutes before the portal closed, and it materialized. So the essence of that is some may not even get you what you want immediately. I recall another professor in Italy. I messaged her at the time. She was really interested in me, but I sent the email like today, and then she said the portal closed last week. That she's really interested, but there's nothing she can do because the application window closed last week. So that also like comes with a message of acting as soon as possible. The funny thing is this Italian professor contacted me 2 years after to tell me she has reserved a place for me in a research team. And she wanted to follow up, oh, are you still interested or not? But at the time I was already doing my PhD in France, and I told her, oh, thanks for remembering me and everything, but I'm now in a PhD program. Oh, she was excited and she was like, okay, good luck. So things like that can happen. So even if it doesn't materialize now, you can establish a relationship that might come back to you for good. So as far as North America is concerned, X and code emails are what I'll recommend. Then for Europe, we have Erasmus Mundus. That's one scholarship I would say you should focus on. Erasmus Mundus and MasterCard Foundation. There are lots of Nigerians winning that, like lots. Erasmus scholarship. There's Chevening, but it also has to do with leadership. You should have strong leadership profile. And I think Erasmus and MasterCard are more hands-on, as well as national and regional grants, such as DAD, the CNRS in France. Then we have university-specific grants. So where do you find those? You can find them on EU websites. You can find them on university portals, on scholarship boards, and government websites. With regards to Erasmus Mundus and national grants, so there is a link on this Erasmus Mundus. I don't know whether I should. There's a link there, as you can see, there's a link there. So maybe when the slides are shared, or if I have time or I'm given permission towards the end, as long as I do not exhaust my time, I might be able to come back to show you something. But please focus on Erasmus Mundus and MasterCard, because Erasmus Mundus is Europe, it's funded at the EU level. So there are hundreds, thousands of projects published at the same time. And the good thing is that you get to do it in different countries. So you might do 6 months in Finland, do 4 months in France, then finish your program in Norway. So it will give you a lot of experience. It will allow you to experience different cultures in Europe. And MasterCard also the same thing. Maybe not as Erasmus, you don't get that kind of mobility, but you get to go to an EU country, for example, or even another African country to do your master's program. MasterCard is majorly masters. whereas Los Mundus also majorly masters actually. But for national and regional grants is majorly PhD, majorly. There might be master's opportunities, like I know of the Eiffel Scholarship in, in France for people, I think up to 25 years old. And then there is national and regional grants for PhDs where you can apply for PhD directly, but it's always good to have a master's degree before applying to these opportunities. For France, the window, so what happens in France is that between March and April, or say May, there is let me say let me start before then because I understand how it works. Before February, let's say from November last year, there would have been a call to researchers to write proposals. So when they write proposals, those proposals are sent to CNRS, then proposals are selected. Okay, these are good proposals, publish them. So these selected proposals are published between March and April, May on different websites, university-based. And once they are published between March, you have to apply between this period. You can apply to as many as possible. So let's assume that you apply to one scholarship and you are selected to interview. So what happens is that the researcher to whom you have applied to will also, of course, interview other people. So let's assume he interviews 5 people, and at the end of the day, he decided, okay, I think you are my best candidate. So you and the supervisor, you form a pair, because in the end, even though the CNRS approved, for instance, 40 scholarships under chemistry, let me just use chemistry as an example. And of course, within chemistry, there are different specialties, but there are 40 researchers in chemistry whose research proposals were approved. And then the 40 of them, they push their adverts, they select their best candidate. These 40 researchers will now present this candidate to the CNRS, the committee of the university, someone from the National Research Center, and also some internal director of labs and all of those things. Out of the 40, only, I think, maximum of 15 will be funded. So which means your success, your supervisors or potential supervisors' success depends on you really defending the project well. So as much as the supervisor has done his own part in writing a strong proposal that has been approved to be funded, it doesn't mean he or she will be funded. He now needs to present that best candidate who will defend the project. And if you are among the 15 selected, then as much as you are happy, your supervisor is also happy. So it's more of a very intertwined kind of fate. Your fate is dependent on the quality of the proposal. The supervisor's probability of getting the grant is dependent on your performance. So that's how, I'm just talking about France, CNRS, regional, national competitions between March and May, most likely, because most interviews are in June, selection in July, August is usually break, then you resume in September and October. And the thing I like about the French government opportunity or French national CNRS competition is that it's the same year you do the competition, it's the same year you enter, compared to North America, where you have to apply in November to enter in maybe June, July the following year or something. But I like the French system because once you interview in June, you can be selected in July and you're resuming in September, October, straight up. So I like the system here in Europe or here in France. But it's like that also it might be different in Germany, but that has a website where you can just check the projects that are available and then you can apply. At the moment, there are many opportunities already posted on Erasmus Mundus website. I checked them. So if you go to this link, you will see them, and then you can start looking at topics, filter by topics, and then you can apply. In Asia, there is the Asian Development Bank Scholarship. There is also the Lee Kuan Yew Scholarship. as well as university-specific grants. I know I have someone close to me that won that, and he did that for his PhD and got another funding for his postdoc directly. So this also works, but the one that works the most is the scholarship by the university-specific grant. Asian Development Bank scholarship is good, I would say, for people in business, finance. I mean, and you have leadership experience. It's really something you should try. Really, really. And if you are young, it's a plus, big plus. So you should try that. But in general, university-specific grants, just check out the university and look at their scholarship opportunities. You will find them on their website. Then in Africa, there is the Pan-African University Scholarships. One of my friends won that in mathematics and then went on to, he did his master's, finished his BSc maths in Unilag and then master's Pan-African University. No, African Institute for Mathematical Science Scholarship. That was the one he won, Ames. Then he went to the US for his PhD and now I think he's working in a company. So these are some of the scholarships in Africa. There's Mandela Rhodes, there's Mo Ibrahim Foundation scholarships, there's Pan-African University. So you can check that out. While I can't remember whether at the start of my master's, the one with the University of New Mexico, I think I got that towards the end of my master's, but I think very early when I started my master's, or as I was about finishing, I also got this Pan-African University scholarship. For reasons I can't also discuss, I couldn't go. But these opportunities are there and people are using it. Don't say, oh, because it's Africa. No, it's not. It does not constitute Jackma. No. Africa, if you get an opportunity in South Africa, they have a very good education system. So you wouldn't say you would not benefit from being part of it. Besides, somebody's paying for your education. Somebody's paying for you to get value and also giving you the platform to add value. So don't think if it's not Europe, if it's not North America, if it's not Asia, if it's not any other place, then it's not a scholarship. Well, you will be undermining yourself because what matters in the end, the quality of the papers that you have, the kind of research you have, the skills you acquire, because these are the things that would make your FP strong for a PhD opportunity. So don't write this off. And like I said, I have friends that have won some of these Africa-based scholarships, and now they are in US, and I have another one in Canada who also won this African scholarship. So don't write these opportunities off. So in terms of how do you prepare and apply for these opportunities, resolve subject interest. I wouldn't go over this. It's exactly the content of Dr. Eric Moore's presentation. Then the next thing is to search for relevant scholarships. Okay, you are clear on what your interests are. Look for the relevant scholarships. Then read. Do not just click apply and just start running like, I don't know, but read the instructions. And what's most important is reading the eligibility requirements to know whether you meet the cutoff. Some might say, I want only first class. Some might say, I want 2-1. Some might say there's no like degree limit and all of those things. Just be sure you meet the eligibility so that you don't waste your time committing hours to preparing a solid SOP only to realize that you don't even qualify or your field of interest is not involved, is not covered by the scholarship opportunity. Then like some opportunities in the US might say, oh, you need to find potential advisors. It might not even be only the US. I think in the UK too, some scholarships might require you to get, but I know that for US and I know that for China because I have people who have done that. So you might need potential advisors. So learn to write good emails and like Doctor has said, I'm making reference to him because he has said he has already given the foundation of that allows me to build on what he already presented. So that's why I'm making a lot of reference to his presentation, which was excellent. So confirm whether you need supervisor. If you need supervisor, some will say it's not necessary or it's not obligatory. If they put it that way, it's not obligatory. Make attempts to find. They might say it's not obligatory, but it might be a definer when the committee sits. And like you said, it's true. Even though you get a potential supervisor, it does not mean it is automatic. You even need, independent of the funding, you need to be a strong candidate. So that you are defendable in the first place. Even if the person wants to really show that I am putting this candidate forward, are you really defendable? And that depends on the strength of your application. And then if you realize that, okay, you have to, then you find potential supervisors, you send your cold email, and or you can apply directly, especially for those that say you don't necessarily need it or you don't need it. It's not a must. If you see it's not obligatory. You can decide to apply directly. And for some, it has worked for them. But for the most people, at least that I know, um, cold email really did the magic. In terms of navigating language barriers, I think I have barely 5 minutes more. So I'll wrap up now. In terms of navigating barriers, what I wrote here is that my friends, that depends on each situation. Why I said that is because you can be in a French-speaking environment, but you don't really need to speak French for research. The problem is usually with the social life, with doing everyday interaction, going to the pharmacy, going to the doctor, going to see friends, going to the market. You are likely to encounter people who will not be able to speak English at all. Or even if they can speak, they will not show you they can speak. They prefer to see you struggle to speak their language. And then they will smile and see that you're making effort. And then they will speak English to you. It can be like that. At least I have experienced that a lot of the time during the early period. Early period, I was still like struggling with being able to speak French or something because I had to learn ABC from scratch like a baby as an adult, and it was quite challenging and stable. In the end, yeah, it depends. There are some situations where because the language of research is English, so it's not much of a barrier for research. But how do you show integration? How do you show cultural integration? How do you show that you've embraced the people that welcomed and hosted you? How do you go about life? Do you have to look for a friend all the time? Somebody you want to make a phone call or you get a phone call, you need to look for people who can speak French or Norwegian or German all the time. So in essence, you need to pull your weight largely for social interaction. Because even if you speak English, okay, for instance, I did my PhD in English, but there's option to do your PhD defense actually, or you can document in French and present in English. You can document in English and present in English. You can document in English and present in French. It's your choice. It's open I mean, in my university, it's open. But even though I had a British French supervisor and a full French supervisor, they were both English, like they were really amenable with speaking English. So it made life like easy. So we used English to communicate as far as science is concerned. But the problem now comes when there is team meeting, when there is lab level meeting, when there is inter lab meetings. Friends, I will be lost. Like the meeting would just go on, and as much as I would try to concentrate, that was the first year, second year, it was really a struggle because I didn't understand what they were saying. And I felt that I was losing out on opportunity of vital information because I did not understand these things. But it is what it is. I did not study French, or I never had the need to go to French village to go and learn French before coming here. But I had to pick it up whether I liked it or not, especially for such meetings. They are scientific, but the primary is my research, which didn't require it. But these are meetings that can also like from which you can get vital information, but because you don't understand what's being said, you lose out, and it is what it is, you've lost out. And beyond that, you need to also, during lunch break, everybody is speaking French, like almost 97% they're speaking French or the local language. And if you don't understand, you just stay, you end up being a loner because it will really hurt you not to even know what's going on around you. So That's it. And for improving yourself, you can use tools like Duolingo, or which the one I would recommend more, but it's more cost. I mean, it's more expensive, which is going to a language center. So just use whatever free tools. YouTube, actually, use YouTube to learn whatever language that is being spoken in your target country. If, I mean, when you are sure that, oh, you've won a scholarship to Spain, won a scholarship to Portugal, to France, okay, then start a month, 2 months, do a crash course. Because when you start your studies, there are usually there are courses, I mean, language courses for foreign students, free of charge. But outside the university, it's very expensive. You can pay as high as say maybe 500,000 naira to just go and learn for 2 weeks. So it can be very expensive. So you have resources to leverage once you get into your program. But before then, just if you can afford language centers, when you know you have won a scholarship, and if you are confident that, okay, you are in for it long term, you will keep searching, you can choose a language of choice depending on the country of your interest and start learning even before the opportunity shows up. It might do you, I mean, a lot of good. I wanted to do some demonstration, but I don't have the time. So I finished the main contents. This is just sharing that you should start early, research thoroughly, and leverage free tools. And a good scholarship is subjective and depends on your individual needs and circumstance. So by this, I mean that you might desire that, oh, I want to submit application to MIT, to the top schools of this world, but it might be more realistic for you to submit scholarship vis-a-vis your academic profile and experience profile. So you can have like top target schools, have like 5. These ones, you know that your profile doesn't really meet it, but you are going beyond your reach. And then have like 5 schools that these ones, their requirements, I meet them at the level that they require it. We are 50-50. Then you can have schools that you have a profile that is way stronger than their requirements. So that way you give yourself a chance to succeed or to land an opportunity. Also, you can be inspired by other people, but always remember that you are different and you must take the right path for yourself. So these are some resources that I have for the YouTube. I have those on YouTube. It might be helpful. And these are X accounts that they are no longer, apart from Waka Waka Doctor and Olu D1, I'll say Jamaticulous and Olumiwayo, they are not as consistent as they used to be, or they're not doing content again. But there was a time we were all doing, so I know all of them. As apart from Waka Waka Doctor, I have a decent relationship with the first two. Only D1, I know it from a distance, but they have quality content. But if I'm going to recommend, go and sleep with the account of Olumiwayo because he has a lot of useful resources, very useful, as well as Jamaticulous. He also has that. Then, of course, we all stopped almost at the same time for whatever reasons. We all have life things we are facing. So, but those two I recommend. Oludi one shares. I think he's now into consultancy, so maybe. Then Waka Waka Doctor also shares opportunity. So check those out. And I guess that's that. So if you want to connect with me, I would recommend X. That's better. I hardly use Instagram. So thank you, LCA, and I wish everyone good luck.